Can healing really happen? Does emotional healing really happen? Emotional healing or psychological repair are concepts used in the world of therapy that have become kind of mainstream, partly mirroring the medical world, partly the mechanical world. The quest has always been whether anything can be done to fix a traumatic experience or a problematic behavior in a person's life. In this video, I will talk about what constitutes emotional healing, the two processes underlying pretty much every therapy approach, and the one thing that makes the difference for it to occur. When you hear emotional healing, what comes to mind? Usually, in simple terms, it's that the pain of an experience is gone and or it becomes less and does not get activated anymore. From behavior conditioning to neurolinguistic programming to psychoanalysis, various approaches have tackled this over time with various degrees of success. In the latest decades, though, there has been a big breakthrough in this regard with the emergence of so-called experiential therapies combined with the advances in brain imaging technology. The therapy world has opened to include more of what in the past has been in the realm of spiritual healers, miracle workers, various rituals that included music, body movement, making proclamations and declarations, expressing the pain and grieving, rituals of closure, prayer and meditation, visualization, and accessing a higher power or the higher self. Two things have become clear. Over the years, throughout time, people have been dealing with the same phenomena when it comes to human experience. And second, humans have had the same resources available in terms of body, emotions, thoughts, imagination, voice, and expressing. What was making the difference? What was bringing the change now and back then? One of the prominent names in the world of psychotherapy is that of Bruce Echer. In his research and writings, he describes two processes or two types of processes in therapy that lead to different results. I'm talking about counteractive change versus memory reconsolidation, the latest being the one that actually underpins the experience of healing. But let's look at this. How counteractive change works. Counteractive change helps manage the trauma or the resulting symptoms by learning new skills that equips a person to better deal with life. For example, growing up, a child might have witnessed his older siblings being punished for various things, so they learn to be safe by keeping quiet, doing all that is expected so they don't get in trouble. As adults, however, to counteract this fear, they maybe took some classes in communication and how to be assertive. However, every time they enter a meeting room with new people or the boss is present, there is that underlying fear that creeps over and they find it difficult to voice their opinion or viewpoint. And sometimes it's paralyzing. It hinders their work. So they created a new way of behaving, learning to communicate and be assertive on top of the old one. Now they both coexist and one takes over the other sometimes. In terms of neuroscience, this is new learning that created new neural pathways and connections. But this only works so far. If the trigger is very strong, for example, the boss is very much like the father or the mother, and other circumstances such as health issues or a difficult relationship are present, the chance of relapsing into the old patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving is very much real. So what do? A better outcome occurs with memory reconsolidation. How does memory reconsolidation work? With memory reconsolidation, one essentially goes into the original memory and brings in new information. This modifies that memory in that it diffuses the emotional charge that gets activated in specific circumstances. Before you get alarmed, I must add this does not erase a memory, but rather it takes the emotional pain out of it, so it's not so painful and scary anymore. To understand this, we must understand that memories contain both explicit data of which we are aware and implicit data of which we are not always aware, our subconscious. The memory reconsolidation process activates a memory with all its implicit data, such as feelings, body sensations, thoughts, beliefs, and moves into that memory to be there in a way in which the person needed at that time, bringing in new knowledge about reality, about what's true now, and about how erroneous those conclusions might have been. This essentially changes that memory for good. To quote Bruce Echer on this, it is this juxtaposition where the target learning collides with a strongly contradictory, vivid knowing that is the key to transformational change. Because for a few hours, these brain circuits are unlocked and the brain encoding undergoes a rapid change. When those synapses lock, they are encoded with new information. In the example above, for instance, in a therapy session, the person would bring up that experience of being scared and unable to speak and be there for that scared part in a way it needed someone to be back then and help it see how things have changed and that now it's safe and it can let go of that fear. This is all new information, so when the synapses lock back, they encode a modified memory. In 2015, an article was published by 4 notable psychologists with a total of 500 published research articles between them. It was called Memory Reconsolidation, Emotional Arousal, and the Process of Change in Psychotherapy. New Insights from Brain Science, Lane et al., 2015. The core idea of their article was that therapeutic change from a wide variety of therapeutic approaches, including behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, emotion-focused therapy, and psychodynamic therapy, results from the updating of prior emotional memories through a process of reconsolidation that incorporates new emotional experiences. These approaches, as you can see from the diagram, seem to access different entry points to an issue. However, it's important to note that those that fall into the experiential therapies category, such as emotion-focused therapy, EMDR, internal family systems, somatic experiencing, sensory motor, are far more effective in the way they target the deeper emotional learning, which then transforms the cognitive learning and consequently the behavior. What's the game changer? The key element in this is compassion, both from the therapist but also from the client, from the person towards themselves. A rather revolutionary idea I came across in internal family systems approach. In all, the power of compassion is astonishing to anyone who studied or observed the life of Jesus. The amount of which he displayed towards others. It took me a while to understand it. When people were met with this compassionate presence in the midst of their pain, they would experience a miraculous transformation in their psyche, their souls, their hearts. They were changed people. In IFS therapy, an approach that I'm practicing, tapping into the same power within ourselves, also known as the higher self or the core of who we are, the image of God within us, opens up an infinite resource of compassion, loving kindness, and positive regard towards ourselves and also towards others. When accessing this resource in a moment of distress and allowing for the pain to be met with this compassion, this results in a transformational experience and shields against the emotional trauma, the resilience thing we talk about. This is a sacred space we create in the therapy room, but it's also available to anyone, anywhere, pretty much. In conclusion, to recap, Healing happens when we turn towards that traumatic experience instead of running away from it, and let those feelings and sensations it carries be met with openness and compassion, tapping into the resource and the inner strength and love one didn't know at the time. Often, having an outer source of compassion can really facilitate the process. That's why people seek out help. The underpinning of healing are known in therapy as memory reconsolidation, a process by which we clear those pain receptors and change the painful memories. Further connecting to the larger context, our goals and dreams, the meaning of life, a greater power, calling, vision, tapping into this core allows us to thrive unhindered. And we were built to thrive. Then we can become truly unstoppable. If you wish to have an experience with this, email me and I will send you a video where I walk you through it. I hope you find it useful. Please share it if so, and subscribe for more. Take care.